Well, here we are.
Here we are. It's Tuesday night. What just happened?
I know, right? Oh, I like your shirt, by the way.
Thanks.
I'm glad you got the memo.
It matches yours.
It does. Woo-hoo.
Except for my strings are so white and yours are gray.
Yeah. We're actually wearing hoodies tonight because it's actually cool outside. I think
It is.
I think it's in the 40s.
It was kind of chilly all day today.
It was. I don't think we got into the 60s, but I love it. I love it.
Yep. God is good. Gotta love that.
So let's get into the weeds.
So we had a meeting.
We did.
In Otter Creek. They had a meeting.
We're just
we
watching.
are just spectators along with y'all.
All right. Well, there's a lot to go over. You ready to get to it?
I guess so.
All right.
Let's dive right in.
Take it from the top.
So first, I'd like to note that there was not a huge turnout.
No.
I thought, of course, that more people would have came out since, again, they're talking about important stuff with the elections. But I knew there would be at least one person who showed up.
I did not think he would show up, but you were right.
So, yes, there was very few people in the crowd. I do believe 4 or 5, if even. So, of course, the meeting started usual with the roll call, the pledge, and the approval of the agenda. And then they had to approve September and October minutes, all usual things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the agenda, I see comparing it. They did start with the old business, which they were talking about the contract with Joseph Payne, who's the building inspector.
Mm-hmm.
He is the building inspector.
Building official.
Yeah.
He actually is the building official for Cedar Key, I believe. And so he would be hired either by the town or by whoever needs to get a permit. They would hire him and then work with the town. Now, there were some modifications. They have a preliminary contract that they need to read over and make a couple of modifications. And it had something to do with attorney representation or something for public documents during the process, the building process. So legalese, basically. Megan read through it a little bit. And so they need to make a little modification, then they can put it before a vote and then it should get approved. So I don't think anybody will object to that. I
don't think so. And I will make this comment too, that I wish that Megan was running the meeting because I can actually hear her.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, microphones will not get used if somebody does not come there to set them up, as you have seen in the past. And Megan projects her voice very well, and others don't do that so well. So I do wish that Megan was running the meeting just so we could hear everything crisp and clear.
It's like my voice doesn't project as well as your voice, unless I make a specific motion to make it project. But that's not normal speech for me.
And I'm used to speaking up more because I've had to speak to groups of people. And I usually do speak louder anyway because Brett's hard of hearing.
Well, I have kind of a monotone voice, so it's, I don't project real well. But that is what it is.
It is. It is what it is. Did you turn on your microphone, by the way?
It's right here.
I was making sure.
The microphone is right between us.
Because we need...
I'm sitting forward in my seat so that I am close to the microphone.
That's good.
So hopefully they can hear me.
I got to give them some razz. I thought you were giving me bunny ears.
No, I'm pointing to a new decoration we have up there. Some people might take notice of it and think it was funny. That's all. And it's just a joke, people. Anyway, so Zim spoke a little bit about the Wakasasa and water and wastewater management co-op. I guess it's a co-op. He spoke to grants. He spoke about the cost of this pipeline being up around $130 million. Can you believe it?
I think that's crazy.
I think there's a lot of engineering costs are a big part of any project, especially something this big. Um, he spoke a little bit about, and I didn't understand all of this. It wasn't articulated very well, but each town needs to put up some money for the initial engineering costs, which will be reimbursed within 30 to 45 days. He did speak to that. In each of the three towns that are involved in this, the bigger town, the incorporated towns, Bronson, Cedar Key, and Otter Creek, they each need to put up $25,000 in order to keep the motion going forward to get the pipeline in. Now, these are just the first costs
for engineering.
So there's a $75,000 cost. Three towns put up 25,000 each town. Puts up 25,000 to be reimbursed within 30 to 45 days. So this is money that will go out initially and then be reimbursed.
Otherwise, it would fall flat on its face.
Yeah, the whole project will just die.
They put in too much work for that to happen.
Right. So they all approved unanimously to do that. So that was important.
And once that goes forward, I believe he said that they'd be wrapping that up in December, the engineers, and then they could apply for those big money grants for the $130 million.
Right.
Because that would be a shame for it to fall on its face.
I know, yeah.
At this point, because years have already gone into this. It takes quite a while from start to finish for these big projects to actually happen. So it'll be a great thing when it's all said and done, but it still takes quite a while.
So I think that's important. I think the town should be involved in that, but you can see what little interest there is from the town. It blows my mind.
And then tomorrow they'll have the Wackasassa meeting at Otter Creek. It's their turn at 1:00. But again, being that it's in the middle of the day, nobody's really going to show up. So it'd be great if they did live stream that meeting.
Yeah. I mean, it's shameful that GataWorks hasn't done anything with the website to put anything up, and I'm sure they're getting paid.
I was hopeful that they would jump on that and get that website up and running, and you could go on there and look up the public documents, the minutes, the agendas, all those things, as well as eventually doing a live stream. But I've heard no talk about them doing the Facebook page with the live stream or a YouTube channel with the live stream. So that kind of stinks, because it would be great for the people in the community, especially that, again, are not able to make it to meetings for whatever reason, to be able to watch it and be informed from the comfort of their home.
And I don't know how much they're paying GataWorks, but if it's just to back up data, which you can do with a portable drive, which, I kind of suggested, but kind of fell on deaf ears. You can just get a separate drive, back everything up to it, put it in a safe, and maybe have another copy of that drive somewhere else.
There may be a requirement for government offices of some sort, and I'm not positive of that, so I can't tell you about that. So there may be some requirement for them to have a server in the cloud with all the stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I would hire somebody else that's more proactive and is going to do the work that you ask them to do. I don't know. I'm just very disappointed with GataWorks. They've had plenty of time to get something going with the website, either Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, and they've done nothing. So I don't know. I'd fire them. But
yeah, I was certainly hopeful that by now, especially, they would have something up on there.
Yeah,
because it would help the town to
months.
Avoid future lawsuits for public records requests and those type of things.
Correct.
So that kind of stinks. But anyway, what else you got there?
Yeah.
So then under the new business was the ordinance dealing with the elections. It was the first reading. And basically, there wasn't as much in that. I know there was some talk at one time of changing the terms of the seats, but they did not discuss that at all. So I guess they're not interested in that at the moment. I thought they might even be designating seats and labeling them,
Now,
but
that's important.
I didn't hear any talk of that either. Did
Yeah,
you?
no, that's important to assign those seats. Most school districts use letters. They go A, B, C, D, E, or however many seats they have. In this case, 5 seats. If you don't assign those seats, then they can play loosey goosey. The clerk can, and it's happened. The clerk plays loosey goosey with those 2 seats or those 3 seats, and mixes them up and moves them around, and
Well, I mean,
messes up the election.
let's face it, even when those seats are designated, if the clerk is up to no good, she can, or he could do games with the seats.
Right.
So even if they are numbered, you still got to have somebody who's doing things correctly. Otherwise, games can be played.
Yeah. And with 4 seats coming up, there will be games played.
I would hope not. But basically, what they were changing is, and I had noticed that too, in the older ordinances with the verbiage they had, where the clerk would have to announce what seats are open in the October meeting. Now, that's pretty far off if the qualifying isn't until January, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be announcing your open seats in the December meeting. So they changed that language so that the seats would be announced in the December meeting. That way it's not too far off from qualifying, because if you go announcing them in October, then you have the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, everybody's so busy, people forget what happened in October already.
Mm-hmm.
So announce those in December. And they also were going to change the wording that originally in the old verbiage, it said that the clerk had to find 3 members to do the canvassing for the canvassing board, and they had to be voted on and approved by the board. So now they're changing that language to the clerk just appointing the people, and the board does not need to approve those people at all, because it's hard to find people who want to serve on the canvassing board. So they think that would take too much time. So, of course, there's pros and cons to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, pretty much with everything, if you have people that are on board doing the right things, there's nothing to worry about. But if you have people doing sneaky things that they shouldn't be doing, then you're always going to have something to worry about, no matter what the wording is, I guess.
That doesn't happen in Otter Creek, does it? Otter things have happened.
What else did they change? So then they were also talking about, which I was talking about this in the pre-meeting video, was that originally they had the wording that you would take your seat in the following meeting in April after the election. And then when they redid the wording in 2022, they changed it to taking your seat in May. So they were talking about putting it back to April. Now, Zim stated that he did not want it to go back to April. He would like it to stay in May in case there's a dispute for the seats. So my personal opinion is that you should put it back in April.
I agree, because the election results would be available at the voting's the first week?
Yeah.
The first week of the month on Tuesday. So you would have 2 weeks, and then you would reseat the new people right then, 2 weeks after the vote. Instead, you'd be waiting.
Because I
6
never
weeks.
understood why they put it in May in that one that they changed it to anyway. It should have never been put to May.
Right.
And as Megan said, it would take much longer to resolve a dispute of a seat than a month anyway.
Right. Yeah, because it would require legal action.
Right.
So it would take longer than a month anyway.
So
her and Zim kind of differed on that, and so we don't know what's going to come of that. So
I do believe they're going to end up changing it to stay in May, but we'll see what the definite is. That was just the first reading. So when they do the second reading, which will be in next month's meeting, you would hear which one they picked. But I do think they were changing it to stay in May.
to stay.
So other than that, then they were going through
The department.
the departments. Belinda stated that there was nothing new in administration to talk about.
Okay.
And maintenance, I believe Zim said everything because of the storm and everything. There's been a lot going on and with the water plant issues. So that's been a lot. Richard really didn't have anything to add to it. And
he did say that I guess you're going to get to that about the DEP has.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
He's always jumping ship. So then going through, the next one was public safety. So he did ask Laura Mott what she had for public safety. So I guess she is still the head of that. I don't know if you want to say department or category, subject, whatever. So she addressed the big public safety matter of a vulture that has a hurt wing. So I guess she is getting that taken care of.
Oh, thank goodness. I was concerned about that.
So, all right.
That's a joke.
We have no public safety concerns for the dogs in the neighborhood or the festival or anything like that. But
we have a vulture with a broken wing.
Get that vulture rehabbed right away.
Oh my goodness.
She is on it.
Oh.
But moving on.
You can't make this stuff up.
So then the last one is the building and zoning, which the old business covered the building and zoning with the building officials. So that just leaves the water. And now you may talk about the water.
Yay! So the water's back online. So those filters and that pump that were damaged are finally back online. They've been repaired. They're using the filters, and the final DEP permit has been approved for them to be back online. So good drinking water starting tonight. Yes, or whenever that was. Whenever that happened. I don't know that happened tonight. So
I don't know.
Yay, there's a thumbs up for Otter Creek.
Is that good or marginally good?
Well, at least the water is being filtered. It's not raw right out of the ground, poured in your cup. At least now it's going through some sediment filters, the sand filters, and then it's going through those pleated filters. So the more filtration, the better, right?
I would hope so.
And then there was a mention of...
There was a guest speaker.
Yeah.
Which we didn't even know about.
Right. Wasn't on the agenda.
I guess she's running for clerk of court.
Yeah, and she had a pretty strong argument for clerk of court. She spoke about being transparent and having everything on their website and then going to the different sites and showing people how to access it. Hey, these are things I'd love to hear out of Otter Creek.
But I thought the clerk of court position was just in their last election.
I thought so too. So I'm a little confused. Is this this next election?
She said November's election.
So is clerk of court 1 year?
She would be seated in January.
So that part, a little unclear on, but she's running for clerk of courts.
Her name is Jen Kirchhoff.
Jen Kirchhoff. And I like what she had to say.
Yeah.
And I think anything's probably better than what they had. I don't know who they have now. Is it the same person?
Danny Ship.
Oh, Danny Ship, clerk of court. I don't know much about him. There's another one I'm thinking of.
The one who I thought got it in the election, Matt Brooks.
Yeah, that's the one.
So yeah, I'm confused because I thought that was the clerk of court position.
Yeah, so maybe he resigned. Anyway.
Well, he never got seated.
Oh, so I don't know what happened there.
Danny Ship is still there.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so I don't know what happened.
So more research on that is needed. But anyway, she was there.
She was there, And she is running for clerk of courts. Don't know how that came about. That's all. We don't know. So
then it came to public comments.
Yep.
And there was a public comment. Don had a public comment, but he had not filled out a comment card. So I guess his comment wasn't received.
Mm-hmm.
And Zim told him it's not a question and answer, it's for comments only. And Don wants to know why his seat was taken from him.
Right. So Don showed up at the meeting.
I knew he would.
I didn't see it coming. So I was wrong on that one.
So he wanted to know who he has to appeal to about his seat.
So he asked about the appeal process.
So I'm not understanding, though, anyway, why he hasn't been showing up to the meetings and why he would come just to this one to essentially ask a question that he's already been explained anyway. He gave up his seat. He walked out the door.
He walked out the door.
So.
But on another note, when he asked what is the appeal process, well, it's probably too late for him. But what would the new appeals process be had he brought this up 3 or 4 months ago? I think Zim could and should have just answered the question, or he could have kicked it to Megan, and Megan could have answered the question.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Dawn knows what the process is anyway, but I didn't understand the back and forth argument with the whole comment card anyway. I mean, I don't know that there's any official rule that somebody has to fill out a comment card. I could be wrong about that. But when I was there, it was nice to keep a record of different stuff, but
you would answer whatever questions came. It didn't matter from who, about what.
Yeah, so I can't really understand that, because I encourage people to question stuff. Now, I know some people like just being an antagonist and carrying on, and I would guess that's what Don likes to do, because I know he has to know the appeals process.
Mm-hmm.
And if he was that concerned about the seat, why isn't he coming to every meeting anyway?
Right.
So we know he likes to argue.
Mm-hmm. And that's what he was doing here too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, his question didn't get answered. And then there was a public comment from one of the citizens, and Zim did choose to answer that one. So a little inconsistency there. I'm going to call, if the kettle's black, I'm going to call the kettle black. I'm a Zim supporter, but I'm not going to say he always gets it right. If he had an answer for Don, why didn't he just give the answer and move on?
Well, I guess not everybody gets it right all the time.
Yeah, so but hey, we're just giving you our synopsis of the meeting, what transpired, what happened, and then of course we give a little bit of our opinion because we can, right? It's our channel,
right?
So it's an opinion piece.
It sure is.
So
then the next question was about the festival.
Right.
Ellie did ask about the new date for the festival, and they have changed it to December 14th. Is that a loose date?
It's in talking to Zim, I did speak to Zim, and Jeremy's already put it out on the video, and I've talked to Jeremy. There is a collaboration in play for December 14th. I believe that's a Saturday. I don't know exactly what's going to transpire there, but I think they're going to put the festival and Christmas in the Creek together on the same day, and that'd be great. I think
so. It sounds like they have a lot to talk about in the next 2 months.
2 months, but I don't know why that wasn't on the agenda. I mean, you have a festival that's supposed to take place, next week or 2 weeks from now? And it wasn't even on the agenda, so I don't know who dropped the ball there. But they got addressed, I guess, to some extent. I mean, at least, it was, the
At least
question was
Ellie was
asked.
there and asked the question.
Right.
Otherwise, it might have gotten forgot about altogether.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just so swamped with all those hurricanes and things happening. I can't say. But overall, I guess that would be a good meeting. It was very short, probably about 25 minutes, roughly, which is really short. They're making some good money. $100 for 25 minutes.
Too bad they can't string a few of those together, right?
Look out. But I do believe they have a lot they need to be talking about in the next meetings with the festival and everything. So I hope they amp it up to a little bit more than 25 minutes. I didn't see anything about any workshops, future workshops. So does that mean they're done with the workshops?
I don't know. I think they need to have one or two of those every month. At least one.
Yeah, because one meeting a month doesn't cut it. And if you're
Yeah.
just rushing through and doing a 25-minute meeting, I don't know how much ground you're covering.
Yeah, and the mayor, this current board, only has about 5 good months of work to get done before it could all change hands.
That's true.
We hope it doesn't, but it could.
You, in a small town, you honestly never know the fate of what's going to be happening.
Yep.
Because so few people want to get involved. That was one of the huge arguments for unincorporation. Because if you only have the same couple of few people who want to get involved, and most of them are not on the right end of things, then you're constantly going to have a problem.
Always doing this.
And then you have the same thing with the clerk position, where we had talked about having 2 clerks, 2 part-time clerks. And that's a very important thing for several different reasons. Because number one, what if the current person fell ill or just decided, I don't want to do this anymore? They have all this knowledge and they leave.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a huge mess. But if you had a second person, they could just pick up the slack until another one was hired. So you have that. And then the other issue is checks and balances. You have one person who handles the money and then another person who handles the administrative duties.
Right.
But I don't know whatever happened where a second person was never hired, because we clearly talked about that many of times. And there was lots of applications and all these other things. Of course, nobody wanted to show up at workshops to hire anybody, but it seems like that just fell by the wayside. But you always have that to consider. And if Belinda at any point decided she didn't want to be a clerk anymore, or God forbid something were to happen, what would they do? Honestly.
Yeah, they got too many eggs in one basket there.
So when you have such a small town,
no backup.
There's serious things you need to think about. And those were some of the huge arguments for unincorporation. And
here's the biggest challenge, and you alluded to it, is that some of the good people like Ellie, like Deanna, that could possibly fill that role and take over, they're not interested. I think
and I think those 2 are way too busy anyway.
They are.
Even if they were interested.
That's an example. And there's a couple others that I think would be good choices too, but they're just flat not interested.
And you can't really blame people either.
And I don't blame them. But if the good people don't step up, they're going to lose it. And it's going to fall back in the hands of possibly Mary, possibly Russell, and whoever he picks. Can you imagine? It goes all the way back.
That would be really sad to see if they go backwards.
You worry about that. I mean,
so in cases like that, you would really hope they would just unincorporate.
I mean, if we lived there, the last thing I'd want to do is be a clerk. But you know what? I would do it versus it going to Mary or versus it going to someone else.
I don't really think you have to worry about Mary being clerk again.
That's an example.
The bigger problem is I just don't see that there would be anybody.
Myself, I would volunteer to do it for free if it meant one of the wrong people getting in there. I would, just to save the town. But
Well, hopefully
hopefully
they
somebody
don't have
steps
to
up.
worry about that, and the right people
Hopefully.
step up when elections come and everything goes smoothly. Like I always tell everybody, don't stop praying now.
Yeah, don't stop praying. They still need you.
Big time.
So,
Absolutely. So that was our take of the meeting.
that's it.
It was pretty short, and next month, hopefully, they'll be talking about a lot more, including the festival.
And real quick, before we wrap this up, we have been reading the comments on the last pre-meeting, and overwhelmingly more people, most of the comments were positive and wanting to hear about Otter Creek. And it's because that's how it started, and we still have some interest in Otter Creek doing well, and we want to share that with you. And I think we're the channel to do that. I don't know where else you're going to get that from. So we're just bringing it to you. It's not mostly what we do, but I don't think it's too much to do, 1 to 2 videos a month on it right around the meeting time, especially if there's a significant activity. Now, if there isn't anything significant going on, we'll announce that and we might do 1 video. But the overwhelming majority response and looking at the views, if you look at the views on the channel and you look at the meetings, people want to still be fed a little bit about what's happening with the town and how it's doing.
Yeah, well, a lot of
So-
people have told me that they've followed this for so long and they're so invested, and they just want to keep hearing good things happening for Otter Creek.
Mhm.
So we're trying to fulfill that for you
Yeah.
and keep you posted on what's happening, and hopefully it's all good. We'll
Yeah.
keep praying for the good.
Yeah.
That little town has been through a lot, so it'd be nice to see that they can have nice, peaceful days and just be able to breathe easy and enjoy life.
Yeah. Well, again, we enjoyed sharing this with you guys, and catch you on the flip side.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.